So for today's video, Nate, you said that you wanted to talk about policing and your thoughts on where it could progress, how it may be reformed, and what improvements need to be made.
Oh yeah, well, I've thought about policing a lot over the years. Well, obviously, first and foremost, I abhor any police corruption or police violence, and there's been plenty of that throughout history. And it does seem that police establishments tend to draw bully-type personalities. So, we as the public have the right to regulate our nation's institutions. I believe in filming the police when they're behaving corrupt. So the public always maintain the right to self-regulate the nation's institutions, including the police force, because we're a democracy. That being said, I absolutely feel there is a role for police in the community, and I feel it is acceptable for a community to come together and to nominate trustworthy people to police the community. And the reason I believe there is a role for policing is because I can't be naive about the violence and the abuse and the mistreatment which goes on throughout humanity, really. So I've been studying violence for many years. In my early 20s I was very anti-authority and anti-government, but what I've come to realise now is it's the role of our nation's institutions, government, police, health services, to regulate our community to ensure that life is good for people. So I know now from what I've seen in life that there's an abundance of violence in the community. I've been stood over, I've been intimidated in the course of my life, I've been threatened, I've been assaulted. You've only got to look at the prevalence of things like rape and pedophilia. I think some people live with a bit of wool over their eyes. The reality is there is rape everywhere. There is pedophilia everywhere. There is no shortage of people who will abuse children and will rape. So for many years I thought about what is the cause of these problems, and I thought it must be, poverty causes a lot of crime, and I still maintain that. Crimes of desperation are the result of poverty, and I would, if I was a judge, offer leniency for crimes of desperation. But I've also come to realise that there are predators, there are predator-type people, and this is what I've learned over the last 10 years as I've gained more life experience. I've come to realise it's not all upbringing. If you take two people and one gets abused and one gets treated well, will they turn out differently? It's not all upbringing. There are just some people, I think, who are predators, and I think being a predator comes from nature, because I think nature works in many ways. Nature rewards community behaviour. Nature rewards communities that support each other, but nature also rewards the selfish, because there are no rules in nature. Nature is about resource control, it's about survival of the fittest and natural selection. So I think, in nature, the man who robs the bank for $10 million and doesn't get caught, he's the winner, because he doesn't get caught. Rules are imposed by creatures that are capable of conceiving of rules. Monkeys have rules, we have rules. I wonder if dolphins have rules. Dolphins are very intelligent, but no rules exist in nature. The only rules in nature are cutthroat survival of the fittest. So like I said, the man who robs the bank for $10 million and gets away with it has taken what he wants, and he's the winner. He's the fittest, he's the survivor. So, we have to have institutions in our nature, in our community, which help us regulate our community so our community is safe. So because we want to live in a safe community, and the reality of the world is there are dangerous predator-type people out there, and predator-type people can become in control of militaries and then take over the world. Hitler was a predator. He was a predator, he was a narcissist, he wanted to be the boss, he wanted to control everyone. And he took control of a country's government and then tried to take over the world. And that's why I believe not only do we need a police force, we also need some level of military and defence force, because there are these threats. There is always the threat that some maniac will come in charge of a powerful military and threaten and intimidate the rest of the world. That's real, you know. So I used to be all about world peace, but as I've gotten older, particularly in the last 10 years, I've abandoned world peace. I know it's very cynical, but I've abandoned world peace because I understand there is always conflict, and there is conflict everywhere. And conflict emerges because individuals disagree with each other, and because some individuals seek power over others. So I don't believe in demilitarisation anymore. I think we do have to have a reasonable, well-equipped, well-trained military, because I understand that there will be ongoing threats to our security, and that throughout history there will be more men like Hitler who will emerge and will come in control of powerful militaries and threaten and intimidate the rest of the world. So this goes for organisations like ASIO and CIA and FBI as well, and MI5, MI6. I believe they need to exist because, you know, there are dangerous things in the world. There are nuclear weapons in circulation, and people can create and build nuclear weapons and threaten and intimidate the rest of the world. So we do need, and there are violent groups as well. You know, I've studied violent regimes, and there are regimes that execute homosexual people, that there are, you know, Christian fanatics and different fanatics who kill each other, and there's wars and conflicts. So there has to be bodies that can address these issues in the world, and that's why we have these CIA, ASIO security organisations. But what I believe most importantly is that the public, the people, have the right to regulate these institutions. You know, who polices the police? We, the public, police the police, and they have to be held accountable when they behave inappropriately. So I think it's important to hire appropriate people into police and military positions, people who are level-headed and reasonable. And, you know, I believe everyone should be trained in scientific rationale and logic. So I think definitely our police and our military should be trained in scientific rationale and logic. And I want the role of police to be mediators in most conflicts. I don't believe in excessively punishing people, because punishment doesn't change a criminal into a good person. Only rehabilitation can take a serial offender and teach them to be a good, decent, valuable member of society. So I believe in rehabilitating criminals, because punishment just goes on in a cycle, and people come out of prison worse than when they went in, and it doesn't resolve the issue. So rehabilitation is the way to go. But look, I don't call to abolish the police. I call to regulate the police and to reevaluate what the role of police is in the community, because we certainly don't want this action movie shit where cops are going around shooting people. You know, we want our community, when there is issues emerge of conflict and violence, we want it resolved diplomatically. We want people, especially when people are having heated arguments with each other, police should mediate the situation and try and reach a conclusion. And, you know, so we have to have integrity commissions, and we have to have these regulatory bodies investigate our institutions all the time to ensure that things are being done properly. But no, I do acknowledge the role of police and military, because I recognise, you know, it's a dangerous world, and I've seen violence and I've seen how people get hurt. So I know it's a dangerous world. So we do need bodies who serve to protect the community and make the community safe for everyone.